take a walk with me and my daughter as I talk about why I do ASMR. And there's lots of reasons. Um, let's start with the earliest one that I can think of, which predates all the way back to when I was 5 years old. My grandmother was my first experience with real person ASMR back when I was 5. My mother did something that we called then soft tickles, where I would ask her uh, to just touch me gently. Literally, it was like this, soft tickles, right? Um, she would do them on my back, on my arm, behind my neck, you know, on my hairline. Uh, and it was the best feeling ever. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has experienced this. My mother also took on the job because my grandma wasn't always there, so my mother would be next in line because I'll be honest with you, my grandmother was the best at it. So this is my first experience with real person ASMR. To piggyback on that, I have always been excited over things that felt good on my fingers or sounded good to my ears or visually pleasing to my eyes. Even with books that had shiny pages, not just like visually that they were shiny, but also because when I touched it, it had a stickiness to it that sounded sticky, that I can like pinch and hear, you know, a squeakiness to it. In fact, I was hyper fixated on things like that. Anything squishy that had like a squishy, slimy sound to it and touch to it. In fact, I am still, a child when it comes to things like that. You can ask my son and my husband, like, whenever we come across, you know, I can't even tell you the names of some of these toys anymore, but like just anything squishy, like I have to squish it. I'm smiling because even at it, as somebody who worked in hospitality, sometimes when we would remove dirty dishes and there would be a pad of butter, for their toast, and it was in the middle of like solid and soft, so like squishy enough to where I could put a napkin over it or parchment paper and squish it, I would always do that. Me and a friend of mine. So, anywho, I'm getting off course here. Those are, these are just like the steps that brought me here. So, in addition to that, I've also always been somebody who is very much an anxious person, an overthinker, you know. I suffer from anxiety. In fact, officially I do. And I say that because I've finally taken it upon myself to talk to somebody about it, a therapist, a professional. And I am suffering from postpartum anxiety, but this goes way beyond postpartum. This is something I know that I've been struggling with all my life. and I might be oversharing at this point, but I want to say that this is something that I've been struggling with, I think, from the day I was born. I was born, I was an emergency C-section baby. My mother's umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and so it was a chaotic first day of the world for me, first day of life for me. And after that, I was also a colic baby, and from what my mother tells me, it was the hardest experience as far as her being a mother. Out of the 3 children she's had, I was the toughest for her because of the fact I was a colic baby. And from ever since I can remember, going all the way back to 4 or 5 years old, my experience in school was total stressful for me, just absolutely stressful. I couldn't make friends because I didn't want to make friends because I was too anxious to make friends. I thought too much about it. I cared too much about how I would seem as somebody that they know. It was honestly a horrible experience for me. Elementary school was horrible for me. I had a lot of bullies. I was a loner. It was hard for my mom. She was so sad for me. Um, so, uh, but, I broke out of my shell at one point in the 7th grade, I think. But probably didn't make the best friends with some people, and ultimately, you know, ruined my, my reputation as far as like being a good student. I was no longer a good student. But anywho, I'm really getting off course now. But the point is that I'm still somebody who suffers from anxiety. And I think that, more importantly than giving you guys an experience as far as ASMR goes, I hope to help people who suffer from anxiety as well, because I think a lot of us do. I mean, life is not easy. And ASMR has been, a window of relief for me. I first started listening to ASMR, I want to say it's been like 5 years ago. And at first it was just very satisfying to me. Like, I just enjoyed watching all the squishies and feeling all the tingles. But I will say, ever since having Anaya, my daughter, my youngest daughter, who's now 3 months old, ASMR is something that helps me go to sleep at this point. In fact, I play it every night now. And I enjoy it so much that sometimes I listen to it in the middle of the day just because I want to hear it, So, with all those reasons combined, I am here now. Soon to be a real person ASMRist and hoping to help women reach a level of relaxation that they cannot do on their own, And although my husband is great at soft tickles, he will not sit there and do it for hours throughout the day. And there's also just something about a woman's touch, and I'm hoping and working on getting better at the craft and hoping to deliver, an experience that women want to keep coming back to. But more importantly, I also want to help women get the tools to experience ASMR on their own time in their everyday life. And to help them find peace, I'm also a woman of faith. I feel like I should say this, like, I'm a woman of faith, and I am not a healer. I am not a medical professional. You know, um, to me, God is the only healer. And, if you're a person of faith, I always, first and foremost, recommend you to turn to your Creator. Um, I just hope to be a woman who can help you, another window of relief for you, you know. And also, the fact that we do not have spas that just like solely do this accessible to us blows my mind. And so that is another reason why I'm really not even focused too much on making, a living from YouTube videos, which a lot of ASMRists do. That is how they make their living, because, they serve us by giving us the visual, and like, you know, it's easy to just turn on your phone and look up a ASMR real person video, right? But we don't have it available really too much for in-person services done. And, my grandmother is, although she's still here with us, alhamdulillah, but she, it could almost make me cry, but she can't really do that for me anymore. My favorite real person ASMRist, the queen, you know, she's not physically capable of doing something like that for me anymore. And so this is also in honor of her. And my mother is, my mother is going through so much that she will actually be my guinea pig client, because she deserves all the tingles. But anyway, I hope that this has been a little insightful, and I want to, you know, I wanted to share why I've come to this point. It's not really just all about the money for me. There's a bigger purpose behind it all. And inshallah, Allah is pleased with me. And I hope to help, my community and women out there who struggle with anxiety. And yeah, I'm just a mother trying to follow a little dream of hers. And so I thank you all for your support, everybody who's subscribed to my channel already. And this is a slow work in progress, nothing's gonna happen overnight. So just bear with me as I, continue the process. And hopefully someday soon, inshallah, we can start booking appointments and I can start serving you. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your support, and may peace always be with you.